There's a jet sitting on a private runway right now that costs less than a house in Manhattan, and it doesn't need a single person besides you to fly it. No captain, no co-pilot, no crew standing between you and the controls. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why the wealthiest self-made people on Earth are quietly ditching hired pilots for good. And trust me, the number at the end of this story is the part nobody expects. Most people think private aviation only belongs to two kinds of people: billionaires who inherited their fortune, or corporations with a fleet of accountants figuring out the tax write-off. For decades, that was basically true, because owning a jet never really meant owning just a jet. It meant owning a payroll, a captain, a co-pilot, schedulers, crew training, salaries that didn't stop the moment the plane landed. They kept stacking up, year after year, whether you flew twice a month or twice a week. The jet was never the expensive part. The system around the jet was the expensive part. And then one aircraft looked at that entire outdated model and asked a question nobody in the industry wanted to ask out loud. What if the owner didn't need a crew at all? What if the owner simply was the crew? That aircraft is the Embraer Phenom 100. And it quietly rewrote who gets to own the sky. The detail everyone skips over. Here's the part that changes everything, and it's easy to miss if you're not paying attention. The Phenom 100 is certified for single-pilot operation. Not recommended. Not possible in ideal conditions. Certified, that means legally and technically, one licensed pilot can fly this entire aircraft completely alone, no co-pilot required. No second set of hands. No one else in the cockpit second guessing a decision. Just you, the yoke, and open air in front of you. Let that actually sink in for a second. A machine that costs less than a lot of luxury real estate in a major city. A machine that climbs to 41,000 feet above commercial air traffic, above most rough weather, above the version of the world that 99% of people will ever physically see with their own eyes. And one single human being is fully, legally, completely in control of the entire thing. This isn't a gimmick built to sound impressive in a sales brochure. It's one of the most quietly radical shifts to happen in modern aviation, and most people watching this have genuinely never heard of it until right now. Built for the person, not the entourage, before jets like this existed. Stepping into private aviation didn't just mean buying a plane. It meant inheriting an entire operation. You weren't just an owner, you became an employer. Flight crews to hire, logistics to manage. More spent on staff every single year than most families spend on an entire house. It was ownership, sure, but ownership with a permanent price tag stapled to the side of it. One that never went away no matter how much you flew or didn't fly. Embraer looked at that whole outdated formula and flipped it on its head. And here's the thing, step inside the Phenom 100, and it does not feel like some stripped-down starter jet built to cut corners and save a few dollars. It feels like a private lounge that just happens to leave the ground. 4 to 6 leather seats, hand-stitched with a level of detail you'd expect from something several times the price. A cabin quiet enough that you can genuinely hear your own thoughts while cruising at 450 miles an hour, thousands of feet above the clouds. An optional refreshment center for the moments you want a drink in hand before a meeting. An optional lavatory for the flights that stretch a little longer than expected. Every single option in this jet doesn't feel like an upgrade tacked on to justify the price. It feels like a signature, a small, deliberate statement that this aircraft was built for people who don't want to rent freedom for a few hours at a time. They want to own it outright, permanently, on their own schedule. The cockpit doing all the heavy lifting. None of this solo flying independence would even be possible without what's actually happening inside the cockpit. This is where the real engineering story lives. The Phenom 100 runs on the Prodigy Touch flight deck, full touchscreen avionics, synthetic vision technology, and systems intelligent enough to flag a potential problem before the pilot even thinks to look for it. It doesn't feel like operating a complicated machine. It feels like commanding one. The aircraft absorbs the complexity, so the person behind the controls doesn't have to fight it every second of the flight. You're not juggling 40 different systems in real time, trying to keep every dial and gauge in your peripheral vision. You're making one decision where you want to go, and the jet handles the rest with a kind of quiet, engineered competence that makes flying solo feel less like a risk and more like the obvious, inevitable next step in aviation, where the bigger jets simply can't go, and then there's the performance. This is where the Phenom 100 quietly separates itself from almost everything else in its category. Takeoff roll, under 3,600 feet. That single number opens up an entirely different map of the world. Small regional runways, private airstrips, airports the larger, heavier jets physically cannot use because they simply don't have enough room. You're no longer restricted to flying into the nearest major international hub and then driving another hour to your actual destination. You're flying directly into the small airport in the town next to where you actually need to be. Cruise speed sits at roughly 407 miles an hour, with a range past 1,100 nautical miles. New York to Miami, Chicago to Cancun, London to Vienna. Non-stop, no layovers. No standing in a security line taking your shoes off. No strangers sitting 3 feet away from you scrolling their phone during your flight. Just you, the aircraft, and the horizon stretched out across the windshield exactly where you want to be looking. The real luxury nobody talks about, there's a very specific kind of luxury hiding inside that entire experience, and it's not the luxury most people picture when they think private jet. It's not about being served champagne or having someone else handle your bags. It's the luxury of control. It's not waiting on anyone else's schedule. It's not building your entire week around when a hired crew happens to be available. It's the simple, almost old-fashioned idea that if you want to leave, you leave, because you're the one making that decision, not a scheduling department 3 phone calls away. And here's what makes this whole story even more remarkable when you actually sit with it. The Phenom 100 starts at roughly $4.5 million. In an industry where the entry price for private aviation used to comfortably sit somewhere in the 8-figure range, Embraer quietly cut that number down to something that actually fits inside the world of successful entrepreneurs, doctors, and self-made professionals who built their income with their own 2 hands. Not billionaires coasting on inherited fortunes sitting in a family trust. People who are still actively building something, still climbing, still proving it to themselves every single day. 2 jets, 2 completely different philosophies. Now, is the Phenom 100 small compared to something like a Global 8000? Absolutely, it's not even trying to compete in that category, and it was never designed to. The Global 8000 is a flying palace for people who have already arrived, who built the empire, cashed out, and are now enjoying the view from the very top, with a full crew catering to their every need. The Phenom 100 is something different entirely. It's a set of wings for people who are still building, still climbing, still proving something to their competitors, to their industry, and honestly, mostly to themselves. 2 completely different jets, 2 completely different philosophies written into aluminum and jet fuel. One says, "I've already made it." The other says, "Watch me." And honestly, that's the part of this story that turns into something almost poetic if you think about it long enough. You don't need a fleet of people surrounding you to feel powerful. You don't need an entourage filling every seat behind you to prove you've arrived somewhere important. Sometimes power is quiet. Sometimes it's just one person, one machine, and one decision to take off when everyone else is still waiting for permission. The only question left. No co-pilot sitting in the other seat second, guessing the flight plan. No entourage filling the cabin behind you. No permission required from a scheduler, a crew, or anyone else standing between you and the runway. Just the checklist, the engines spooling up beneath you, and the open sky stretched out ahead, waiting, This is what independence actually sounds like when you strip away everything unnecessary and get down to what actually matters. The Embraer Phenom 100 only asks one real question before you ever leave the ground. Are you ready to fly it yourself? If this kind of story is exactly what you come to this channel for, make sure you're subscribed because there's a lot more where this came from.